I call the meeting of Public Safety Committee to order. Any discussions from the floor? I have one thing, but I'm going to wait till the end, and I believe the sheriff has something else to add too. I'll start with the resolutions. Resolution amending 2015 operating budget. E911 maintenance agreement. Sheriff. Have a sponsor in a second. Tom? Martin? Any discussion?
Move it to full board.
Move it to full board, okay. Resolution for county executive to sign the agreement, Catholic Charities of Fulton and Montgomery Counties, Youth, ATI, and Veterans Services. Sponsor in a second.
Sponsor.
Martin?
Tom will second.
Tom will second. Any discussion?
Full board.
Full board. Resolution amending the 2015 operating budget, New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services Legislative Grant Award, Youth, ATI, and Veteran Services. Sponsor in a second. Tom. Roy, second. I switched up a little. Any discussion? Move it to full board. The only thing I want to say before the sheriff speaks is that I would like to, and I'm not sure if we go through committee with it or just speak to Matt, but I'd like to have an emergency policy basically established. I'd like to possibly have all the emergency departments that are involved with it work on something, you know, have a vendor list ready to go, having them all vetted, and so we're not.
And in case of emergency plan?
Correct. How do you want to approach that? Do you want to write a letter to Matt stating that we would like one to be established, or do you want to just talk to him?
You know, we talk to him and say you know, ask him what he thinks about putting together, you know, a plan.
I think like emergency management, public works be involved, probably the purchasing agent, and then, you know, just have vendors ready to go, and there won't be, you know, hopefully that'll just help things. And the process of payment and dealing with FEMA and things like that. Is everybody fine with that? We'll just talk to Matt. Okay.
They could work with CMO too.
Right. Right.
Piggyback off some of their plans.
Right. And I believe the sheriff wants to address the board.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
I discussed this earlier today with Mary. This law allows that when a deputy leaves employment, or any police officer leaves employment with their agency and goes to another agency less than 3 years after they've been trained, to go after that agency for payment back, or prorated payment back of that person's basic training. That changed probably, well, maybe 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. And back then, we had a deputy that got out of basic school that we paid, sent to basic school, got out, worked for us about a month, and went to Schenectady PD. At that time, when I prorated it, figured out how much they owed us for the basic training, ammunition, travel, all that, what was left was a little, almost $18,000, $17,000 change that they owed us by law. Sent the letter to them certified. They received it. I spoke to their police chief. I spoke to the commissioner of public safety, and it took 4 months to get the money from them. And it took Attorney Landon to make contact with their attorney to advise them that they have to pay. Well, recently we had another deputy leave to go to Schenectady. Fortunately, we kept this one a couple of years, and they owe us over $5,000 to this deputy. I sent the letter back in April. I have not heard a word from them. They signed, the commissioner signed the letter. 4 months, I addressed the board of supervisors, and I told them, I think in this case, at least this situation, we should be able to put on that bill that after so many days that we're going to tack a percentage onto that bill. The board of supervisors at that time didn't want to do it. But here we are in that same boat again. And if the board doesn't, the legislators don't care, I send my letter like I feel it's my obligation. I'm not going to constantly call and nag these agencies for money. So that's, I'm just asking if you still have interest in that, if you would have interest in that, making legislation where we would amend our billing. I've already spoke to the county attorney about the current issue. I will be sending her the paperwork tomorrow, see if she can, nudge them to provide us with payment. Have any questions? No?
Well, does the legislation allow for that in billing?
I don't think it has anything, it doesn't say anywhere, just that you're owed to the.
It's hard to imagine, but why don't we just pursue what's owed?
Just what's owed?
I don't have a problem with you looking to see if it can be done in the future, but I agree, let's get the money we got coming now and go for it. Or,
But should we put some more teeth into it for?
Well, that's what I said, I think she
Okay.
should, I think
Okay.
Duke's question is, am I right that you were asking, can you even do that to begin with? Is it
Okay.
allowable?
Okay.
I don't know if you could tack interest on that.
Well, basically what we're
I
doing
could've-
is we're training the deputies and then they're leaving, right? Correct? For a better paying.
Sure.
For you all the time,
Yeah.
with the
Sure,
training ground
don't
for
you-
everybody, and nobody understands it.
Yeah.
Didn't we have to do something a while back about the deputy himself reimbursed?
Only part-timers, we make them sign a contract.
Oh, that's what it is.
You can't do it with full-timers because that has to be negotiated. The full-timers do not want to negotiate that because they want to leave. They don't want to hang out. So they won't sign a contract that says they'll stay here for years. And it doesn't cost them anything. The agencies would rather pay me $17,000, $15,000. Knowing getting somebody that's fully trained, they know that past the costs, they know that they're a decent person. We do all the work and they just reap the profit. They just pay a little bit as opposed to us
And
taking
it's
the
based
gamble.
around money. I mean, it's based around money. The
Yes,
departure's based
if we
around
were in
money.
that position and I could look around and say, well, geez, I'm going to steal that person because I know they're good, I'm going to do that, and that's the thing. And I'll pay less money than if I had trained them.
Sheriff, what's the difference in salaries between one of our deputies and like a village police or Johnson?
Village police, we usually make a little bit more than villages in this county.
Yeah, okay.
You talk about Amsterdam,
Yeah.
our starting pay is pretty close to theirs. But after that, they just walk away from us with their longevity. And in their contract, like I was telling Legislator Jesse earlier, that if a person works for me for 3 years or 5 years and leaves, we go to Amsterdam, they get the credited longevity in their contract. So they can make $10,000 or $15,000 more by leaving us.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So it's very hard to try to keep people.
Yeah. Definitely a problem.
And I had mentioned to the legislator Jesse earlier, my pay with 30-some years, all my longevity, is $90,000. Base pay for the chief of Amsterdam, I have nothing against the man, I know him for a long time, is $99. He doesn't have jail, doesn't have civil office, doesn't have communications. He doesn't have anything but like 30 guys under me with law enforcement. I tried to get an undersheriff from APD, a guy that I've known for many, many years. He laughed at me and said, why should I take $20,000 less in pay and all those headaches? I would love to have a guy. But
Right.
it's money. So,
All right.
you want to pay $20,000 for each person I send to school and then have them leave? That's fine. That's what we have to do.
Well, this has been a problem really that has gone prior to our getting here.
Right.
And it gets a little bit worse every year as each bargaining unit negotiates based on a percentage, and the flat dollars, the difference grows. So every time Department XYZ negotiates a contract at 3% and we negotiate one at 3%, that gap keeps getting larger. And so we have to take a look really at that structure. Now is not the time to do that. They're in negotiations now. But when that's over, that's something to talk
Right.
about. And then we can actually take a look at some of these things long term, especially with respect to training costs now. Because that wasn't always the case with training costs.
Right.
Those have gone up too. So we should take a look at that as soon as negotiations end.
Most definitely. In fact, we had a conversation this morning with the county executive on that same matter. So,
I'm 5 deputies down
right.
for the last couple of months. And the deputies signed an agreement to waive the contract requirements so we can get the job done in the last month. Because we were looking at cutting the night patrol. So there'll be no night patrol. Because I didn't have enough staff. I got 18 guys on the road, I lost 5. So just 4 in a squad. And then I had 2 or 3 of them that went out injured. So I was really, really hurt. And just starting to get the injured people back. And I hired 4 people today. But 3 of them won't be able to start till the end of next month because of training. And the 1 will be starting next week.
Should this training all take place at Zone 5? Or how does that work?
That's where it takes place. Yeah. These people are still in school, they're almost done. They have to do the field training, and then they have to do extra training with the breathalyzer and radar, and then they're done.
To circle back to the interest question, would you like me to look into it and get a memo together maybe on what we could do in the future? Or?
Well, I don't know. I think the interest here is just in getting the reimbursement as soon as possible. I don't think we need a driver there. It's not going to make much difference on this $5,000. Let's just pursue the payment. That would be my opinion.
Okay. Is that?
I concur.
Okay. If there's anything else, if not, I will adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Martin, Roy second. No,
Don't go anywhere.
I know, I got it. You know, I'm waiting to wake these people up. They're all sleeping.
Just like sniffing somebody with, I don't know how many $XYZ of interest on $500,000. That's all I can do to interject. Okay. We just pursue this and we'll refund.
You know I'm just ready to go.
Okay. I'd like to bring Physical Service Committee to order. Any discussion from the floor? I do have something, but I'll wait till the end. I think I only got, no, actually, it's right on the agenda, so I got to do it. Okay. I sent out an email last week, or Cheryl did, about the radar signs. And I have copies here if anybody wants to have a copy. I was driving through Saratoga County and I actually spotted it, and I asked Paul to look into it. I thought it would be a good idea for problem roads. I mean, what it does is it's above the mile speed limit, and then it'll show your speed and it flashes. So if you're doing 55, it'll flash 55 in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. So it does catch your attention. And I know every district, my district, you have roads that are just a constant problem with people speeding on them. I'm thinking about maybe trying a few. I would like to, but obviously we would have to fund it. The sign department doesn't have the money in their budget to cover the cost. They would put them up with no problem, right? But they just need the funding to buy them.
Yeah, their materials budget for the year.
Right, is small.
This would wipe it out.
Right. So I don't know what your thoughts are. I will open it up to the floor.
What was the total cost?
Well, it's with shipping and I think about $4,000 per sign, radar,
And the software, right?
and the software. You know, it depends what you guys want to do. I mean, we could do one for each district and the legislator pick a road and test them out. We can do just one or two or one. It's whatever, you know, obviously we would have to fund it, so.
You mean buy 9 of them?
Yeah. I think they're worth it for problem roads. I think, you know, now with the problem with the deputies, you know, we don't have the coverage on the roads, and I don't know, maybe it's just my district, but the people are just flying. I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know what, maybe this will be something that will slow them down. I don't know.
2x4 with nails works pretty good. At least in front of my house.
That's how I got it last.
In all serious, if we wanted to try a couple,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'd go for 9 in
Okay.
one in each district.
Well, I'm
If
just-
you wanted to test something maybe,
Sure.
or to just go buy them all and
Okay.
have a bunch of them, I don't know if I.
I mean, frankly speaking, I mean, you're going to have the driver that doesn't know they're speeding maybe change their patterns, but I don't think that's necessarily, you know, you have these long straight stretches, it's not going to solve the problem. I think it would be a much better use of money to investigate some traffic calming techniques and with some of the appropriate roadways, go after something like that's going to actually have a physical impact on the roadway to slow traffic. I think that would be a much better use of money.
I don't know what you mean.
Mr. Chairman,
Do.
I'm not sure what problem we're solving.
Okay.
And certainly the notion of having legislators decide where these things should be in their districts, that really doesn't make sense. It's really not part of what we're supposed to be doing.
Well,
Okay. If there's a problem with traffic, then we should probably run this by the sheriff. You have a particular issue someplace,
mm-hmm.
and if he needs this, and this would be of assistance to what he's doing, then that's fine. But it's not really for us to make those kinds of determinations in response to a public safety problem that hasn't even been brought to us and defined. So I think we ought to just back it up a little bit, and if there's an issue that the sheriff can address and he needs this would be this would assist him in some way, then fine, we'll take a look at it that way. But to talk about doing it by district or buying all of these without even...
Well, that was just a suggestion. I didn't know, you know, if it would be a problem to put them in certain areas. If, you know, along Route 30 is very much a problem, and Paul would tell you that too. That the amount of traffic and the speeding is ridiculous. Maybe not in your district, but.
Well, that's not the point. I think the point is that we have to, if you're bringing out the specific area where there's a problem, then take it to the sheriff, and if he needs this kind of assistance and comes back to us.
With all due respect, he's having trouble now even getting deputies, so, you know, I'm not quite sure. I did bring this to his attention quite a few times, and he just doesn't have the personnel to cover the roads.
That would seem to suggest that we each get our own deputies to put up with this.
There you go. Martin, your hand was raised.
Yes, Paul, how much, I know that there have been issues with drivers hitting our mobile ones. Do you Does DPW fix those when they get?
I know currently the sheriff's trailer is in our shop being repaired.
Do you have an estimate of how much those damages are?
I do not. I could provide you with that, but I don't.
I do think, I do think that, this is something that, the sheriff should come to us with this. And I know that we have had issues in the past with the mobile trailer being hit, and people would, if they're hitting a pole, or just, people are less likely to hit the pole or veer off to hit the pole than veer off and hit a mobile.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I can refer to public safety. Paul, does the software enable you to look at it from your office, from a stationary?
I think it's possible. I'm not sure it's possible for that price. I think for that price, you go to the sign, you use a USB cable, download the data to the laptop.
Okay.
And basically it'll tell you how many vehicles, it's all kind of like traffic counters. It'll tell you how many vehicles.
Right.
And what the speeds were, when the high traffic hours are.
Would the board be willing to try one? We'll just try one in an area and, Jesus Christ.
Is this something you can rent?
I don't think so.
can we talk with the sheriff and stuff
Sure.
about, I mean, we're coming up on budget season,
Okay.
and, give
All
us a
righty.
suggestion.
Okay, I'll refer to public safety. A resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an intermunicipal agreement between the Village of Kanjahari wastewater treatment plant and the Montgomery County Sanitary District Number 1 for sludge treatment and disposal. Can I have a sponsor and second? Tom? Second? Martin? Any discussion? Move it to full board?
Move it.
Okay, we'll move it to full board. I guess that's all for fiscal services. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I'll bring it up under mine.
And second?